So I have owned my first Grand Seiko for just over 3 months. And I need to be honest with you from the top, if you haven't watched my previous videos, I've actually only worn the watch for one of those months. And before you say anything, there are reasons for that, and I'm going to explain them in this video. The retail of this watch is £3,700, by the way. When you spend that sort of money on a watch, you expect to be wearing it on day one, not waiting on it, not sending it away, not wondering whether it's even going to be yours. So today is my honest 1 month on a wrist with my first Grand Seiko being the SBGX355. And I'm going to go through everything that I love about this watch, because there is a lot. There's a reason that I spent that amount of money on the watch, and everything I don't love and why it's a little bit complicated. And ultimately, I'm guessing a lot of you would love to know whether I'm keeping it or selling it. And I will let you know by the end of the video. I'm pretty sure I would have come up with an answer for that. Let's get into it. So a quick recap, a very quick recap if you haven't seen the earlier videos. I bought this watch in Japan on my honeymoon, and the first month I didn't wear the watch because I noticed that the second hand wasn't aligned, so it didn't hit the markers at all 60 times around the dial. The Waco building didn't fix it. They said go back to the UK and get it fixed in the UK. So the first month it was in a box. I didn't even wear it, didn't know whether it was going to get exchanged or whatever. It didn't feel like my watch essentially. Anyway, second month, Grand Seiko UK take it away for service and they get it realigned. They were great about it, very efficient. No issues there whatsoever. It came back realigned. I was happy. In the third month was when I actually was able to wear the watch and tried to sort of connect with the watch and make it my own essentially. And I just want to say very quickly, I felt very stupid making those initial videos, and there was this sort of feeling of, am I being stupid in complaining about the second hand not being aligned? But so many of you validated that and backed me up and empowered me to take action. So a quick big thank you to all of you. So thank you all. Anyway, month 3, I actually started putting it on my wrist, and now I can honestly give you an answer as to what I think about the watch ultimately, and then we're going to start off really with what I love. Now let's talk about the case size and proportions of the watch. Now this is a 37mm diameter case, 45mm lug to lug, and it's around 11.5 to 11.7mm thick. This is possibly the perfect sized watch for me, especially as a daily. This was why the watch was bought. I wanted a quartz watch I could pick up and go and wear on a day-to-day basis, and it being a 37mm watch was one of the reasons why I wanted to buy it. I don't think there's a better feeling watch in my collection right now in terms of the proportions and how it feels on the wrist, and I think a lot of it has to do with the case size and proportions. They're Goldilocks for me. For my 6 3/4 inch wrists, I think the proportions are as perfect as they can be. That has to be one of my biggest loves about this watch, because as time progresses in this hobby, in this rabbit hole that we're all in this addiction we're all in, I should say, wearability has become one of my most important factors, and proportions of the watch. And this definitely ticks it for me. Now look, another thing I love about the dial, and let's be honest, when we're talking about Grand Seiko, the dial is absolutely stunning, and it's a dial you have to see in person in order to appreciate fully. The pictures, the footage I have, especially my cinematography, if that's even what you can call it, it will never really do it justice, and I still think this is one of the best looking watches I've seen. I've absolutely loved staring at this dial, looking at particularly that blue tempered seconds hand and the applied GS logo, just that grain of the surface. There's a certain depth to it, and the way that the light catches the indices, everything about it, absolutely stunning. I often find myself stopping and just looking at the watch when I'm wearing it, and it's just a beautiful watch. And that's something that could be said about Grand Seiko generally. Their dials are really second to none and arguably the best in the industry. Another thing that I love about this watch is the 9F quartz movement. Now I know a lot of watch collectors don't take quartz too seriously. I get it, there's a certain romance with mechanical movements, and that quartz just can't replicate. I understand that argument entirely. However, the 9F isn't your average quartz watch. I'm not going to go into the details of how it works. I think I've done that in a previous video, but Grand Seiko claims it to be accurate to plus or minus 10 seconds per year. I can confirm in the month that I've been wearing it that it hasn't lost a single second. That in itself amazes me, and I absolutely love the fact that this is as accurate as a digital watch or as your phone, for example. The fact it hasn't lost a single second is incredible to me. And I know from reading on forums, Reddit forums, that many people say that the watch doesn't even lose a single second for like 6 months, which is incredible. That level of precision is almost uncomfortable, to be honest, because it makes every other watch in my collection look a little underprepared. But look, that's quartz, and I love my automatic watches that, but nothing will ever keep time as accurate as the 9F quartz in the Grand Seiko. Now, another thing that I love about this watch is the grade 5 titanium. We talked about the case proportions, we talked about the thickness, the lug to lug, everything was perfect regarding that. But the fact that this watch is titanium, it's feather light, and it's one thing that I know noticed straight away when I picked up the watch and put it on my wrist. It's so comfortable. It's so comfortable. And that's why I wanted it to be a daily wearer, and a daily wearer has to be comfortable. And it ticked that box. It was so comfortable. Not only do I like the weight of the titanium, but I love the hue that this metal has. It has a subtle warmth. It's almost like a grey blue that almost has a purple tint in certain lights. It doesn't look like steel. It doesn't pretend to be steel. It has its own thing entirely. And look, titanium isn't for everyone. I think either you love it or you hate it. Some people love a heft to their watch. I'm a huge fan of titanium. It just makes the watch more comfortable on the wrist. Another thing, surprisingly, I like about this watch is the clasp. Now, often the clasps on Grand Seikos are ripped apart on YouTube, and rightly so. Many people have their own opinions on them. It genuinely surprised me, again, from a comfort perspective, because the clasp is so thin, and you can look at it two different ways, and I will get into that in just a second, the negatives of the clasp. Because this clasp is so thin, it just makes it so much more comfortable on the wrist, so much more seamless. It hugs the wrist, and there's a certain conformity to the bracelet as well. It does conform to the wrist very, very well, and that thin clasp just makes it all more comfortable. Doesn't dig into the back of my wrist, and I've worn it, you know, this watch, as I mentioned, for a month now, fairly non-stop, I would say, for 15 hours at a time at certain times. And so the clasp, it being inferior in many ways, actually makes it a little bit more comfortable. Guys, you may have noticed there's no sponsor in this video, and that is because I would love for you guys to keep the lights on here and join and become members of the channel. Some of you have already done that, and I just want to say a huge thank you. It means a huge deal to me. No pressure whatsoever. If you haven't subscribed and you watch my content, at least hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into what I don't love as much about this watch. We all hear and talk about Zaratsu polishing when it comes to Grand Seiko, and I bought this watch as a daily wearer. I have to say and make something very clear before I talk about this one nitpick. The Zaratsu polishing is objectively stunning. That mirror polishing that you get, the mirror-like finish is second to none. It's a feat of craftsmanship, and look, Grand Seiko's reputation on finishing is entirely deserved. However, when you wear it as a daily, and this is a personal preference, purely subjective, which was my intention from day one, I found that it's a little bit too shiny to be a daily wearer, and that's just me. I like to wear things understated on a day-to-day basis, and that's entirely down to what sort of situations you're in, what you do for work. But as a daily wearer, I don't like my watch being so shiny. The center links on this watch are very, very shiny. The indices are very, very shiny. The bezel is very shiny, and it's not really a flaw of the watch. It's more a tension between what the watch is. You know, it's a beautifully finished dress adjacent piece, and what I bought it for was not to really be a dress watch, but this could easily be a dress watch. But I think if you're planning to wear this on a day-to-day basis, it's important here to also mention that it does pick up scratches, micro scratches. Titanium isn't as scratch resistant as steel, and I tried to find a bit of information about whether this has got some hardness coating on it. There isn't anything concrete on there, but yeah, there's a couple of scratches on the bracelet now after wearing it for a month, and I don't really care about scratches, but as a daily wearer, it feels like this watch will scratch quite easily over time, especially on the clasp. Now, one thing I really don't like, and I mentioned it there about the polishing, is the center link polishing. There's something aesthetically about this bracelet I really don't like. It's very comfortable. I talked about that before in what I liked. It conforms to the wrist very nicely. However, those sort of polished center links, I would have just preferred maybe less polish on the bracelet. Don't know how it would have looked with it being fully polished, but yeah, the SBGX355 has a fully brushed bracelet, and I think it looks brilliant, which is the 9F quartz, the black dial version of this watch. I don't hate it, but I just don't love it, aesthetically speaking. And now this is one of my biggest gripes about the watch, and it's the no micro adjust, especially for a everyday daily wearer, which is why I bought this watch in the first place. I've been a little bit diplomatic about this in previous videos, and when I've done, you know, reviews on watches that cost far less than this, but I have to say something. For a watch that costs £3,700 at retail, micro adjust should come as standard. I don't think there's any excuse whatsoever, and I think micro brands and independent brands are providing something that the consumer clearly wants and needs for a fraction of the price. And when Grand Seiko charge as much as they do for their watches, and rightfully so for certain factors, incredible. As I mentioned, some of the finishing, etc., incredible. There's just no excuse for it. And now I know in their UFA models they have provided micro adjustment now in some of their bracelets, but it should come as standard across the board for Grand Seiko, for a brand that costs as much as it does. Guys, the reason why this this has become so apparent to me is because recently in London there's been heat waves and it's been so uncomfortable wearing this watch. And I think if you're wearing it as a daily wearer, you're wearing it on the commute on the tube, you're wearing it at work and you get flustered, you get hot, and especially when it's 30 degrees, 25 degrees, you know, my wrists do expand. It became incredibly uncomfortable to the point where I had to just take the watch off. And often it was an excuse for me to just look at it and look at the dial again. But look, ultimately in 2026 for a £4,000 watch, guys, come on, it should come as standard. It should come as standard. A micro adjust needs to be there, and I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's good enough at all. Now we've come to, I guess, the section everybody's been waiting for. Will I keep this watch? And it's so complicated. I want to touch on one point here. I think the first month after buying a watch is one of the most important periods of ownership. It's when you bond with the watch, when you develop that emotional connection, when you wear it, that excitement's there. It's the honeymoon period. I didn't really have that with this watch, and I found it very difficult to get that connection. And even though I've had it for 3 months, I've only worn it for a month, it doesn't really feel like my watch, which feels weird saying that out loud. Even though, you know, I am the owner, it still just doesn't feel like it. And I think the experience, what happened at the Waco building, send it away for service almost straight away, and then in the 3rd month being able to wear it, I think all those factors play a part in this decision that, you know, I've made. And it's something I just can't pretend when there's so many other watches out there that you want, and ultimately that's one of the factors leading into this decision. It just doesn't feel like my watch. It's so weird, and I'm gutted. There's a part of me that's kind of gutted about that because it's so brilliant on paper. It's incredible. There's a reason I chose this watch on my honeymoon. There's a reason why I wanted this watch. But as you all know, I want a certain watch. It's the Rolex Explorer. I put my name down, by the way. I made the decision I'm going to go with the new one. Whenever that call comes or whenever I end up buying that watch, by the way, we're around the 15k subscriber mark, and I think it'd be an incredible way to celebrate 20,000 subscribers. Anyway, that's just an idea. I'm putting it out into the universe. If you want me to get my Rolex Explorer, guys, get me to 20k subscribers. Anyway, if I want that watch, it's expensive and I don't have £6,000 lying around. I would have to sell some of the watches in my collection in order to buy that Rolex Explorer, and I made my mind up. I want that watch. It's done. It's dusted. I've always wanted that watch, and time to just bloody get it. This will have to go. In order for me to get that watch, even another watch in my collection probably will have to go as well.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
It's a shame. It's a shame. I really tried to build that connection with the watch and wear it and give it a chance. And the thing I really want to make clear actually is Grand Seiko, this SBGX355, is genuinely a special watch. It's one of the best premium quartz watches out there. The 9F movement, the dial, the titanium construction, the proportions, all exceptional. All the reasons why I bought the watch in the first place. But I think just my experience, what happened, has played a part in this. But also my need and want for that Rolex Explorer has almost outweighed the want to keep this now. Especially, as I've mentioned, so weird, doesn't feel like my watch. By the way, as I've said, I would recommend this to anyone. If you're looking for a quartz watch, a titanium watch, I'd recommend this watch in a heartbeat. However, it's not perfect. As I mentioned, the no micro adjust at £4,000 is a frustration that builds over time when you wear it on a day-to-day basis. You recognize, especially in the summer, it gets uncomfortable. The Zaratsu polishing, as beautiful as it is, I think as a daily for me personally, subjectively, it's a little bit too shiny to be wearing on a day-to-day basis. Especially if you're going to wear it hard, it's going to pick up scratches very quickly. Ultimately, I think this watch isn't going to stay in my collection for very long. When I choose to get that watch, the Rolex Explorer, it's going to have to go.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Let me know in the comments, would you keep it? Do you understand why it doesn't feel like my watch after the time I've spent with it? I'm really interested to know what everybody's take is on this. Am I being a baby? I don't know. I just feel like that first month, and I hope people can resonate with that, is so important. It's the honeymoon phase. It's the phase where you really start to develop an understanding and love for the watch. And as much as I didn't have that, I still kind of appreciate how good this watch is in many different ways. But I feel like the Explorer for a daily, which is why I bought this watch in the first place, was to tick that box, was to occupy that space in the collection. I feel the Explorer does it better, and I feel like I'm done waiting now. And look, 20,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed already and you want me to take you on that journey to get the Explorer, I would love to take you on that journey. But I think 20k subscribers is a brilliant way to celebrate it. It's what I'm playing with. I'm putting it into the universe, guys. Look, if you've enjoyed the video, please do like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I've been Jag from Jag's Watches. I do think this is a bit of a sad ending, but at the same time, I do appreciate this watch for what it is. I will see you in the next one. Peace.